if you think about building generational outcomes, you can't have a wrong way of doing right things. And you have to get it right from day one.
There's no way that you can't have radical self-belief and be fearless and ambitious and audacious if you have to build category-first companies.
Look, let's not forget the protagonists. The protagonists are the founders, the founding team. These founders will scale across generational boundaries, both in the area of Indian entrepreneurs building for India and Bharat, as well as Indian product builders building for the world.
पूरी मोबिलिटी को सॉल्व करना पड़ेगा, पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट को. That's when we are going to be taking buses.
It's not just an animal feed protein company that we are trying to build. It's an insect biotechnology company that we are trying to build.
What Salesforce is for a sales team or GitHub is for an engineering team, we are that home for a data organization.
Institutional investing has a lot of nuances attached to it. How do you select the space in which you want to be? That is driven by a thesis. A lot of hard work goes into identifying what we like and what we don't like.
I think that's something that has really helped us, I would say, find the right horses for courses. Therefore, we've always had the ability to take some contrarian investment bets.
They're founder first, so they'll bet on the founder, not the product or the market. It takes a lot of conviction to bet on founders because in the early stage, the market can be changed, the product can be changed, everything can be changed except the founders, right?
Multiple times in my discussions with Manish, the first thing that he asks is, Angad, what do you want to do?
Because at the end of the day, every founding team rightfully has strong passion to solve a problem. And if you aren't listening, you're not appreciative of that passion, you're not going to be able to identify the winners in your crystal ball.
I think of them as long-term partners, as people who think growth, who think late stage, but they are able to customize that wisdom into what is required through early stage, early growth, right down to growth stage of the company.
So our strategy really is to come in early, continue to follow on invest, but have and build a concentrated portfolio of 4 to 6 high conviction bets each year. That way, we believe that you can't really invest basis consensus building. It really has to be conviction led.
I think we have studied very, very deeply. My CTO has stood on the bus stop for 2.5 years just to get the live tracking right. And people think, oh, live tracking तो easy है, चलो ने solve कर दी. नहीं, चलो ने 2.5 साल सड़क पे खड़े होके solve किए. No, it doesn't come overnight.
Pivots are never easy because the entire business model changes, marketing becomes significant, logistics becomes very, very different. Question of, should City Mall directly acquire the end consumers and give it to the partners, or it should continue growing just through the community partners? And that is where, our discussion with WaterBridge, I clearly remember, was like a huge help during that process.
One thing that's really helpful is that they have a consumer tech thesis, and the fact that they were willing to take bold bets. People were almost like, how would these guys grow? All the social platforms in this space are at hundreds of millions of users. These are guys who are just starting off, and now when we are number one in the country, they've still been our foremost backers.
I believe that fearlessness should come from us first. So when we are fearless, we are able to spot fearless founders.
Across a variety of sectors, from healthcare and global SaaS to mobility and consumer, each of our founders, I would say, are audacious in terms of just the innovativeness of the business models that they've chosen to build. And you will notice this pattern in our portfolio that we've chosen multiple category leaders.
We are the pioneer company who has implemented National Common Mobility Card in this country.
We're the top tech leader in the Forrester Wave in our space.
A City Mall micro entrepreneur has been able to increase their household income by almost 100%.
We have around 2,500 plus factories. A good number of factories have consistent capacity utilization coming from business.
We're operating in India, we're operating in the chaos of India, we're operating in this high growth phase of India.
India has reached a stage where there is no aspect of life which is not touched by tech. And tech disruption has to give you an unfair advantage for you to be able to build a more efficient solution using that.
so far internet has seen the penetration in top 5, top 6%. When you go on to that below 90% or 90% of the audience now, their behaviors are very, very diversified. They are not linear in nature. We just have to give them right solutions. It's not that वो tech use नहीं कर सकते. They can use tech. It's just the value proposition should be high, should be good, and should be incentivizing. From day 0 to today, 8 years, my conviction on the opportunity has just increased. And I think over the next 10 years, we would see many bigger outcomes.
And therefore we have to be very entrepreneurial. Our success is heavily correlated with our ability to think like entrepreneurs. As cliched as it sounds, ups and downs do come. Our portfolio construction allows us to take fewer bets and give the due time that companies need to go through some of these pivots and some of these journeys.
This was that phase of 2020. We had almost run out of money. I remember that conversation with Manish, and of course he had many more of those happening. Take the right decisions, do the hard things, do that in one go.
And having seen enough cycles, because these are all cycles. And so in those moments, I think, again, just having a level head, I think that's where I think WaterBridge has been extremely helpful in helping us make the right decisions.
We take a lot of pride in the fact that for every dollar that we have invested, $25 have been put in by external VCs.
I think that gives incredible comfort to founders to know that there is depth in their cap tables.
And that is where it gives a lot of confidence that yes, somebody is backing the business and not just the concept or the field or the sector that they are in. And that is where the business potential just gets reflected to whoever is looking at Loopworm's investor portfolio.
When we came together as a firm, we thought that look, a very disciplined, fundamentals first driven approach can deliver a very distinctively different outcome. Whether you are good on your ESG practices, governance practices, whether it is economic outcomes, the type of business solutions that are getting built, the type of responsible corporate citizens that come out of this. And we have stayed true to that.
The big dream for me is to build a generational VC firm that outlasts the three of us as partners and that creates and touches 1 billion lives by 2030.
With every fund, with every investment in each one of those funds, we're putting one more brick and one more layer to achieve our long-term goal of building the best homegrown venture capital fund out of India.